God bless him, and they let us in. But we never understood what they were trying to do. Whether they were trying to say, well, let's do a comedy sketch about this, or whether they're saying, well, let's get this over with and up front. I mean, I still don't understand what the move was.
Very odd. But after that, we wrote a script, basically. They translated it into German, a 50-minute show. We actually went through the translation with them so that we understood as well as we possibly could what it all meant and which words to emphasize, and then we learned it off parrot fashion. And then we did it, and it was enormous, enormous fun.
So the TV show ends in '74, and you turn your attention. I feel like Ralph Edwards, and this is your life. And now
you just have to remind us you're not ready.
Turn your attention to movies. Movies. Venture into the world of cinema. 4 very funny and very unique movies. Now for something completely different. Quest for the Holy Grail, Life of Brian, and The Meaning of Life. The Black Knight part of that is, I always felt, is a wonderful example of something which can appear so gross for a moment, but is really very funny because he's showing no pain.
It's an odd film. I mean, that was made for very little money. I think 210,000.
It's one of the virtues of having a budget, actually, because the reason we got to having the coconuts was because we couldn't afford horses. It was as simple as that.
Well, there was an original sketch, wasn't there? We had people with coconuts. And so if we keep that all the way through, and everyone has a man with coconuts, well, yeah, we can save money.
Religion keeps on coming back in your subject.
Yes, do you know who's the only character in all the Python movies? It's a trick question. Does anybody know?
God?
God.
This is where we were going to have some incredibly hilarious footage from our film, The Life of Brian. Unfortunately, we are in litigation over it. However, we invite you to picture it in your minds now. And if you do, we promise not to sue you for violation of copyright.
Now, that must have caused quite a flurry. I know, I mean, the scene on the crucifixes.
It was interesting in the States because it got banned in England and in Ireland, but in America, especially the Bible Belt, it just killed it dead. Nobody went. But in England, where in different towns it was banned, people organized bus parties and went from the towns that it was banned into the towns where you could...
There was nothing funny about what Christ said. And what's funny, really, is the fact that, you know, Christ said all these really good things about love thy neighbour and everything. And then for the next 2,000 years, people are killing each other and torturing each other because they can't quite decide how he said it. And I think
Moving on to the idea of the live performance, which is certainly... I can't think of any other television stars who made their reputation on television that go around doing their pieces live. And you toured England. You made some appearances here. And we have some footage of some of these, which you might very well not have seen.
Sit on my face and tell me that you love me. I love to hear you moralize. When I'm between your thighs, you blow me away. Sit on my face and let my lips embrace you. I'll sit on your face and then I'll love you truly. Life can be fine if we're both 69. If we sit on the face and lost in the place of play, till we're blown away.
Was it a revelation to you that when you did these live shows, they made you feel like rock stars, the crowds and all that?
Towards the end, the early ones were a bit ragged, really. In fact, I remember Graham, very eccentric day one. I was doing the Ken Shabby sketch. Yeah, we're going on the carpet. And Graham forgot to come on. And he had the first line, which was the, man, so you want to marry my daughter? So we couldn't do anything till he came on. So I was sort of sitting there and I was sort of gobbing away, doing all this. And eventually, he never came on, you came on, dressed as an archbishop from the sketch, which was going to follow this one, and did the words perfectly. So it was a very bizarre sketch. Archbishop asking why he wanted his daughter's hand in marriage. Oh, very odd.
When we got to New York, I always remember this on the opening night, is that we went out to do the first sketch, I can't think what it was, and we did the first line, I got this roar. you know, we thought, oh, wonderful, you know, here we go. And we then played the rest of the sketch to complete silence.
Yeah.
I mean, not a, you know, it was disorienting.
Yes.
Yet when we did the last line,
Yeah.
and I came off and I said to the stagehand, what is going on? And he said, come. And he took me over and we looked through a little gauze thing in the curtain. And I looked at the audience and they were sitting there going, they knew the word.
They knew the word.
Well, they knew the word. When we used to do the parrot sketch, they would occasionally shout the line. When John was leaving a rather skillful pregnant pause, someone would shout the line, you know, deceased, and John would get very angry. As
It was
they
probably the only show where you could dry and get a prompt from the audience.
Yeah.
And Carol Cleveland was on that tour, on those tours, wasn't she?
We stuck with her.
And did you hide in her closet?
What?
No?
Well, I wasn't hiding. I'd gone to fetch something. I'd left an adze in there. It's the sort of thing you use for planing wood. You know? I'd left it in there, and I wanted to use it in a show I was doing after we'd finished our show, which I did a sort of carpentry show, which it was a sort of improv thing about carpentry. And I'd left it, and I thought, God, where is it? And it was in Carol's bloody cupboard in her room. And so, cool. Anyway, I sneaked in, and I was there getting the ads, and she woke up. And the rest is history.
I hid in his room once. We got back from filming on Jersey, and I was in the first car, and they gave me the key, and I went up, and
Oh, dear.
I said to her it wasn't for my room, it was for Michael's, which was next door. So I unlocked the door, and I went down and got my key, and I thought, I've got to take advantage of this. So I went into his room and put the light on, had a look around, and there was a dressing table in the corner. So I got behind that, and having turned the lights out, Michael came in.
As it was my room, you know, there's nothing kinky about that. It's my room. It's
And he wandered
weird,
over to the you know, started doing all this. I could have reached through and touched him there. But he never saw me, and then he went over and started brushing his teeth, and then he started taking his clothes off, and he put his pajamas on, and he got into bed and put his glasses on and got the book and started to read, and I realized the joke was on me. And I didn't know what to do, and I sat there about 5 minutes, and then I just thought, well, I just got up and said, I'm awfully sorry, Michael, but I have to go.
No, I remember what happened. No. Carol shouted, "Get out!" I remember that.
Oh, that was it. That was it.
We want to kind of wrap it up with a few more questions from the internet. This one is kind of interesting. I suppose it's saying what your favorite is, but it says, suppose all of you died suddenly, and God said every one of you could return to Earth, provided you return as only one of the many characters you played during the Monty Python lifetime. Who would you choose?
I choose the character I played, which was the front half of a pantomime horse. And I had to leap into a very high-powered sports car, Jaguar sports car, and drive it along Scottish roads dressed as a panto horse, just looking through this little slit underneath the throat, driving this thing at about 60 miles an hour. And you know, sort of that I could get very fond of. You know, it's a new Olympic sport, I think. So.
I like Mr. Equator, because he'd just look at a woman and say, whoa, that's a nice pair, darling, isn't it?
Your sex life, not of Gilliam.
And I think I'd have to go and try to get the one I didn't get right, which at one point we were filming down in Dartmoor, and I had to come down as an American dialogue coach and say, okay.
Oh, yeah.
And I got down there, and I actually couldn't say okay in an American accent.
Please, Mr. Salad, there isn't much time. Where is Neutron? Okay. Give me another meatball, and I'll tell you.
Completely blew it.
Of course, I think the flaw about this whole question is it assumes you'd want to come back down to earth. Really, well, I suppose I'd be the lady who sells spam, 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 spam.
Spam, 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 baked beans, spam, 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 and spam. Oh, lobster thermidor, crevettes with Mornay sauce, garnished with truffle pate, brandy, fried and pot and spam. I don't like spam!
Yeah, I think I'd like to be a philosopher called Bruce, actually, because they're the most fun. You know, they could say all sorts of awful things like the whole bloody audience, you know, all the adults are on drugs and all the kids are on roller skates. Except I got that wrong, didn't I?
They're a typical Hollywood audience. Right. All the kids are on drugs and all the adults are on roller skates.